Welcome back. And by the way, welcome back with Spectrum.com. Log on today to get all the information you need for fast, safe, internet and high-speed web access. But also on top of that, Spectrum Mobile can be the choice for you, fastest growing mobile provider in the country. Log on to Spectrum.com. 8:38 in the morning, our time with Joe Kent. Grassroots Institute of Hawaii begins. And Joe, it's good to see you again.
Good to see you too. Good morning.
How's your week been?
Pretty good. Although my wife and I and daughter were sitting in the dark on Monday, trying to feel our way to where's the candle, where's the flashlight, and all that. And so we prepped my 3-year-old and said, now the lights are going to turn off in a bit here, so don't be scared. And we did practice runs and things,
right.
But still, she was terrified when that happened twice for us. So yeah.
Oh my! Whereabouts?
We're in Punch Bowl.
Punch Bowl.
Yeah.
Oh. Mm-hmm. I'm downtown, and we just had flickers.
Oh, okay.
2 times, but it was boot, 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 just on and off. Down the street over at Punch Bowl and Vineyard.
Mm-hmm.
Good night, Irene. Yeah. Wow.
I know, and there's been a lot of speculation about how come this one was turned off and that one wasn't turned off. You know, is there someone that lives there that has inside connections or what's going on? But yeah.
So what do you make of all this? How in the world do we have a rolling blackout when we have all this push for renewable energy? And
yeah,
it just was bizarre.
Well, there's a bunch of problems. It's the perfect storm, all centralized in Hawaii right now. And it's so ironic because the perfect storm for Hawaii was a mildly rainy day with no wind, it turns out. Mm-hmm. But that was enough to give us rolling blackouts. Now, which is really ironic because this time of year, this is when people turn off their ACs, right? This is when we should have a lot of excess power. And so HECO, during this time of year, does maintenance. They take some generators offline to try to, fix them. We've got a really aging system. Some of these generators are pushing 80 years old now. I mean, these were built in the 40s, and so they need to be replaced. But that's all happening at the same time that we have this renewable energy program going on where we're trying to get to 100% renewable energy. It's mandated. And so the problem is we need firm power more than ever right now for it to accomplish both of those goals. But renewable energy is not so great when it comes to firm power. And Hawaii particularly is bad because we can't just easily port in energy from other states like they do on the mainland. I mean, if this happens on the mainland, they just, okay, quick, Utah, Nevada, let's get some power from you. But we can't do that over the ocean. And so, we got the perfect storm here.
So the inclemency, which equals no direct sun for photovoltaic, without battery backup, without a transfer switch, or without having a UPS system that will transfer you back to generator power when it drops to a certain level. Ouch.
Yeah.
I had one caller make the comment, we need to really, because you have people that rely on power for dialysis and a lot of health conditions, that it's essential.
That's right. I mean, it's true that in 2015, when the AES coal plant was still running, when it was still in operation, we had blackouts then. We've had blackouts in the past. And so, okay, maybe this is just a fluke thing. Or maybe this is going to be the new normal. This is what I'm afraid of is the next time we see a rainy day without wind, are we going to have more blackouts? And so I think we need to ask tough questions to those in charge. When I go to the Capitol or talk about this, it's like a taboo topic. I ask these questions. Is renewable really the right way to go to get to 100%? And you can feel people squirm in the room. It's just a simple question like that.
Right.
So, and another one, of course, is, we've got the renewable mandate, but on top of that, we have the carbon mandate. Now, these are different things. The carbon mandate says we have to get to 0% carbon by the year 2045. Now, so far, in all the years that we've been doing this, we've only made 5% progress to that goal. And in the next 6 years, we have to make 50% progress towards that goal. So how are we going to do this? Well, the state just came out with a new report on how it plans to do this. It's the decarbonization report. I don't think the news has really picked this up yet. But in that report, they detail what they're going to do. And basically, it's reduce traffic somehow. How are you going to reduce traffic? Mandate the buying of electric cars only instead of gas guzzling cars. Use sustainable aviation fuels, which cost twice as much, by the way. And plant trees and forests and things. But oops, the same lands that you could grow things on are the same lands that you could put solar panels on, by the way, too. And that's another plank, is let's build more solar. And so I don't think this is feasible. I'm sorry to say, it's going to increase costs. First of all, you've got more expensive costs for biofuels and sustainable aviation fuels. But beyond that, it's easy to just plan or pass a law that people should drive less or something. But everybody wants everyone else to drive less. But for their own lives, they want to drive, they don't want to drive less.
But just that statement you made, government mandating, forcing, eliminating choice, and then utilizing questionable, inflammatory justifications. Mayor Kirk Caldwell, in his final State of the City, declared climate change the most important issue facing the city and county, when we have all kinds of other stuff that deal with just basic life.
Right.
I think this cottage industry that's been in creation for years is finally generationally taking hold because of the precise marketing behind it of those with a vested interest, because it takes about a generation to imbue an ideology, a priority, a belief system. And I think we're at that point, Joe.
It is eerie when I go into government halls where the topic is renewable energy, because you get this feeling that there's this religious overtone to things. We all believe this, and when I ask really simple questions, everyone squirms in their seats. How are you going to reduce traffic by 20%? What are you going to do? Shut down the highways or tell people they can't drive? They also want to extend trips to Hawaii so tourists spend more time here, so that they fly less or something. How do you do that?
So they spend more money.
So they spend more money. And wouldn't it be nice if we were all just robots you could program, right? So, yeah, there's a lot of problems with this.
Tell us about Grassroots Institute of Hawaii.
Grassroots Institute is the state's whistleblower, you might say. We're trying to blow the whistle, and we publish our research at grassrootsinstitute.org. We've got 45,000 other whistleblowers who read our stuff. And we get a lot of our information, by the way, from whistleblowers in government who contact us. They listen to us too. Yeah. And so now I can regurgitate without saying their names. So, yeah.
Thank you very much for that. By the way, Joe, we'll take a 2-minute break. When we come back, there's the word surplus has been invoked, and we'll find out why in a moment.
Ew, gotta get rid of this old Backstreet Boys t-shirt.
Tell me why.
Because it stinks, boys.
Tell me why.
I've washed it so many times, but the odor won't come out.
Tell me why.
No, you tell me why I can't get rid of this odor.
Have you tried Downy Rinse and Refresh? It doesn't just cover up odors, it helps remove them.
Wow, it worked, guys.
Yeah.
Downy Rinse and Refresh removes more odor in one wash than the leading value detergent in 3 washes. Find it wherever you buy laundry products.
In this week's Marketers Report, Dana Nussbaum, Executive Vice President, Worldwide Marketing at Warner Brothers Discovery, weighs in on regional audio marketing and the movies.
Everything that we are doing is incredibly data-driven. We are getting signals in every single day about how specific audiences are performing. So although we're marketing at a very broad scale, and that does include specific local markets, that's really the beauty of iHeart's network. You're not serving the same message to a consumer in Nashville necessarily that you may be in New York. You have the ability to be very specific and very personalized, but at a tremendous scale.
As the #1 audio company, iHeartMedia gives marketers access to all, from national to local, every audience, live conversations, trusted influencers, and the insights and data you need to grow. Not just a media company, iHeartMedia is your access company. If you're a marketer, go to iHeartResults.com.
Ever felt judged at the gym?
You don't know how to use the leg curl machine? Are you serious? Is this your first day alive? No, it's okay. I love helping people during their first day on Earth.
At Planet Fitness, get energy without the judgment and join the judgment-free zone. Never intimidating, always free fitness training and equipment for every workout. Get energized today during the Big Fitness Energy Sale for 24 cents down, $14.99 a month. Cancel anytime. Deal ends Friday, January 12th. See Home Club for details.
The free iHeartRadio app is #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one. Discover a new podcast from our library of over 350,000 titles. Here's an iHeartRadio podcast preview.
When you work undercover, you really have to play the role because you stand to lose more than just an Oscar. If you make a mistake, these people will kill you in the blink of an eye.
If the American government asked you to move to Colombia to hunt down the world's most brutal narco-terrorist, what would you say?
I was a rookie policeman shaking in my boots.
In the 1980s, a new generation of American special agents landed in Latin America, tasked with capturing a new breed of ultra-violent narco-terrorist.
She would kill you if you owed her money. She would kill you if you encroached on her territory. She would kill you if you personally insulted her. Sometimes she would just kill you for the fun of it.
He had all the resources in the world, hundreds of millions of dollars.
A man that could have a political candidate running for president assassinated on stage. This was war.
My name's John Cuban. I'm the host of a new podcast series called Real Narcos. It follows the stories of the world's most dangerous drug lords and the American special agents who hunted them down.
Here you are, a doorway away from the most wanted man in the world. You're not expecting him to go down without a fight.
We didn't have sophisticated software. That didn't exist. The software was a pen and paper.
The only destiny drug traffickers have is either prison or death.
Real Narcos sits down with the fearless agents and journalists who were there on the ground at the time to tell the inside story of the hunt for some of history's most dangerous criminal masterminds. These guys are the real deal. And this is Real Narcos.
Listen and follow this podcast for free on the iHeartRadio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one.
The Rick Hamada Program on News Radio 830 KHVH.
We were told that we had so much surplus. Then we told, no, we don't have any surplus. Now we're told we have surplus. Goodness gracious. Joe Kent, can you translate all of this for us?
Well, yes, it's been a boom and a bust and a boom. Every time I look into the state's coffers, I'm not really sure if I'm going to see moths or money. And so... But right now, we're in the money. Apparently, the Council on Revenues met earlier this week and declared that we have more money coming in. Basically, the Council on Revenues, you can imagine a bunch of magicians or wizards, the state's wizards, looking into fortune tellers, a crystal ball, and then they basically look at the economy and say, okay, is it a boom or bust? And right now, they're seeing it's somewhat of a boom. But it's a boom compared to what they thought it was going to be before. Everyone projected dour economic futures after the Lahaina tragedy and everything. But it turns out that we're getting so much federal infusion to mitigate against that it's going to appear in our GDP numbers. And so that's translating into more revenues for the state, such that we now have $1 billion surplus again, over $1 billion. And so what is that going to do at the legislature? Obviously, we have already heard this morning from Chad Blair about departments licking their lips over some extra cash to help pad their budget a little bit or pay for some needed expenses, of course. Legislators are rightly grilling them, as they should, but let's not forget taxpayers in this equation, too. Taxes have been going up for a long time. And if you look at the tax brackets, we've all been pushed into higher and higher brackets as inflation has been going up. And so that's a whole nother topic, by the way, inflation.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm hoping that they can peg the tax brackets to inflation so that we don't have to keep getting pushed off the cliff. Now, thankfully, the governor has included that in his in his tax proposal, but it ain't over.
Goodness gracious sakes be praised. Is it true that the Enron accounting team is in fact in charge of Hawaii? I'm just curious. There's so much sleight of hand that's going out. Yeah. I know we have a few minutes remaining, but I want to make sure we get this covered, and then we can expand on others perhaps. Tell us about cryptocurrency.
Oh, yes.
In the state of Hawaii.
This is something I think that legislators forgot about. We've got the cryptocurrency sandbox, which is expiring this summer. And so if lawmakers don't pass anything this year, then crypto could go bye-bye in the state. That means that it would be subject to a law in the state that requires exchanges to basically hold double the money that they say they're holding. So if they hold $1 million of Bitcoin, they also have to hold $1 million of cash for a total asset of $2 million. And that law led exchanges to flee from the state in 2017 or so. So we might have a crypto desert here. But if legislators pass some smart regulations, now the key here is light. Think feather light, because lawmakers have this tendency to come down hard with heavy regulations on any new industry. But if they can just keep those regulations light, then we might have an opportunity for a crypto to have a chance here. Cryptocurrency obviously is a wildly speculative and scammy market, so you buyer beware. But we also see Bitcoin at least seeing major adoption. Just yesterday, the ETF was approved by the SEC, so that means that people may be able to invest in different ways. So we're seeing much more widespread adoption. I don't want Hawaii to get left in the dust.
So there are so many things that are going through my mind, because whenever you bring up crypto or any alternatives, I immediately go to BRICS and the strength of the U.S. dollar, the utilization of it as a global currency, which will always have a presence but can be diminished greatly. The fact that nobody wants to buy U.S. debt now that we're up to $32 trillion plus. And so I always kind of get a little udgy when finance is invoked, not only for the state, but for the country at large. And the impact and the influence that has on our daily lives, all the way from valuation of savings to return on investments with interest rates. Anyway, not to get too, but what's your take on the fact that we are in such desperate levels of debt nationally, but conversely, as I looked at the same source, that we here in Hawaii, we have pretty much a minimal amount of debt that we carry as a state.
Yeah. Well, at the federal level, there's been a lot of debt and deficits and deficit spending, and especially during the COVID years, they just paper over all the problems. They just switch on the printing presses and magically the economy stays afloat. But what happens at McDonald's at the $1 menu? Now they call it a $1, $2, $3 menu,
and they're all at $3,
and you can only get a Diet Coke or whatever. But so inflation here, bring it up again. Inflation is just decimating us. Here in Hawaii, we see inflation numbers, and I just went and looked at the CPI. I mean, I think in our minds, we're all still living in 2019, in the 2019 economy. Remember that? But actually today, prices in Hawaii are up 18% since 2019. And if you look at categories, it gets worse. The price of food in Honolulu has gone up 25%, housing up 15%, electricity up 33%, the price of regular unleaded gasoline 42% up, and healthcare up 25%. So, we see at the federal level, inflation's come down to 2% again and all of this. But while it was flying high, those got annualized, and now we're seeing double-digit percents inflation, at least when you think back to 2019. And so we need competing currencies. We need a check against the government's power to destroy our money. And some say that cryptocurrency is that. Now, it depends on which cryptocurrency you pick. I like Bitcoin just because of its widespread adoption. But many people like other cryptocurrencies too. But at least we have some competition. And that's a good thing, because hopefully it will, Now, with cryptocurrency, though, you might lose your shirt, though, so fair warning.
Well, that's, again, it gets down to personal choice.
Right.
What do you portend to be the one dominant news, quote-unquote, story picked up by traditional TV stations, newspapers? But what do you suppose is going to be the real story that holds great implications and influence on our residents in the state?
Well, this is going to sound very obvious, but Lahaina, obviously, at the legislature, it touches so many things. It's sucking so much money and regulation and effort and time. And so, but now we might see some tug of war, though. We already saw $500 million vanish from education funding efforts because they forgot to or didn't spend that. Now that money is being redirected to Lahaina during an election year, where politicians now have to go back to their constituents and say, "You remember that money that I fought for? Well, it just vanished." And so there is a lot of pressure now. I mean, we all want to help Lahaina, but now it's coming down to brass taxes about re-election. And so I think this can be a major theme that's going to emerge throughout the session.
I know we're already out of time. I'm going to cover a little bit more details of a city council hearing that took place on Tuesday on the Transit Mitigation Fund. And when Andy talked about budget fiscal services, he basically said that when people are looking for assistance and aid affected by Dillingham construction, to paraphrase, we can't trust them. Mm-hmm. We can't trust if you're going to tell us that you lost business. How do we know if it's because you screwed up the business, you mismanaged, or if it's rail construction that impeded? And so that gets into a bit about our state as well with Lahaina. Exactly the number of dollars promised, how are they being spent?
Yeah.
And it's going to be...
Who can you trust, really?
It's going to be tough to do. Already out of time. Joe Kent, Grassroots, thank you so much.
Thanks so much.